Thank you so much. I think keeping in the interest of everyone and times as well, moving on to the next speaker, Dr. SOOD. Dr. KB SOOD is Managing Director, Hospital Planning and Management Consultant of NOUS, Hospital Consultants Private Limited in New Delhi. He has done his MBBS from Delhi University and has completed his DHA from YMC Institute of Management Studies, New Delhi. He holds membership in many councils and hospital associations. He has been the visiting faculty at Indian Institute of Health Management Research, Jaipur, Delhi, Bangalore, and the INLEAD Institute of Management in Gurgaon. He has prepared the Uniform Code for Medical Gas Pipeline Systems for India, prepared the MGPS policy and HPAC policy for hospitals in Delhi, and made a number of advocacy presentations for fire safety in hospitals. He regularly publishes articles on hospital planning and hospital administration. He has contributed chapters on hospital planning to a book on public health. And he's going to speak on smart hospitals and fire safety. Over to you, Dr. SOOD. We are looking forward to your rich presentation.
Thank you very much for a nice introduction. I understand time is short, the presentation is long, and I have got a write-up also, and I have checked that will be available to you on the Smart Hospital website. So I will not go along with the presentation because time is short. What I will do is I'll show you and also tell you from my experience. I have actually seen 3 major fires in my career as a doctor. In one of the fires in Leh, the whole hospital went up in flames and we had more than 129 casualties. I am from Maulana Azad Medical College. There was a fire in the NICU. 9 nurses and 27 newborns were killed in that particular fire. So having learned from all these incidents as well as by course and by my experience of designing hospitals, I will cut the presentation and talk of the basic facts and how you can manage. And why this is important is because if a fire happens in a hospital, you are also at risk. Not only the patient, but also all the staff and all the visitors are at risk. Therefore, some basic things you keep in mind and please follow them. So, hospitals compared to any other building form has got additional risk factors. First is, after COVID, presence of alcohol in most of the places because we are using hand sanitizer. Second is we have oxygen and nitrous oxide available, which are both oxidizers, as well as compressed medical air, which is a low vulnerability but still a oxidizer because in the concentrated form it carries a lot of oxygen. That is also available in most of the hospital places where the patients are there or you are delivering healthcare, including laboratory, MRI room, CT rooms, etc. Third, basically all the patients in a hospital are considered handicapped persons. That means they are not in total control of their faculties. So when you want to evacuate them, they cannot do that on their own. You have to give them help, and this is called assisted evacuation. The requirements for assisted evacuation are much different than the requirements for normal people which you will find in a hotel or a office or in a multi-story building. So what is required? So I will not go exactly by the presentation. For details you can always refer to that. But what is required? If I am in a patient room and there is a fire, I must tell you that I have actually been a patient in a hospital in Oman which I designed for 5 months. I had fractured pelvis in a car accident and I stayed there for 5 months. So I got a chance to evaluate whatever I preach to the architects. So this comes from that. So when you are a patient in the hospital and if there is a fire anywhere, that particular floor we call as where the fire originated or the fire originating floor. I am in a different floor. Now what should happen? Somebody should be notified there is a fire, so we have a fire alarm system. Second, we should know what is the risk of fire at the floor where the fire has taken place and at other floors. So by the laws, by my interaction with the fire service people and so many other places, we realize that the floor which has got a fire is at the highest risk, and the floor above that is at next higher risk. Floor below that is a safe floor. Why? Because all the smoke, all the fire, all the heat, they travel up, not down. That is one thing. Second thing, I challenge the fire service people. They had a refuge area after 5th floor. I said, okay, there is a fire. You move my patients. The benchmark time to move the patient is 3 minutes. You read the code, read NBC, read any code in the world, NFPA. In 3 minutes you have to evacuate. Now all of you can think about it. Can you do it? You cannot do it. What you can do is move the patient to a safe area on the same floor. So we got a term called progressive evacuation. Okay? Unlike any other fire, you have a ramp, you have staircase, you have lift. You cannot. Patient is on the bed, you cannot move, and if you can move 1 or 2 patients, what about 16 other patients who are on the same floor? So the concept of compartmentation is there. Every floor must have 2 fire compartments, so that if fire is happening in compartment A, you can move the patients to compartment B. I hope I am very clear. I don't have a drawing for that, but I had thought we'll have enough time and we could show you that. So what you have to do, move from compartment A to compartment B. That requires connecting corridor. Connecting corridor is prescribed. Please understand, prescribed by the code to be 2.4 meters. Why? Because you want to take the bed to the other side, and people who have already gone have to come back. If you have to achieve within 3 minutes what is required. Second, this connecting corridor should not have anything. It should be only the corridor and the handrails. I call them mine. My fire people have died because when it is smoke filled corridor and you have put a trolley or a chair, he takes the table, he hits the that trolley and falls down. He is not able to recover. So these 2 corridors which are required connecting the compartment A and compartment B should always be clear. And I have gone to the extent that the nurse report which happens every night will write that the corridors have been seen and are clear. Second, now from this compartment B, is it completely safe? No, it is safe only for next 30 to 60 minutes, depending upon the rating that you have given. But the fire doesn't know the time. So you have to move this patient from here to another place. Okay? What you are going to use? Now you are going to use the ramp, you are going to use the lift, you are going to use the staircase, you are going to need the trained people. So what we have done? We have modified the code, we have modified the law. Now if you take permission from the fire department, that is called a NOC, then you can plan and use all the lifts in the hospital for fire evacuation. Earlier it used to be 1 designated or 2 designated fire lifts which were pressurized, so you could use. Today the equipment is cheap. Please pressurize all your staircases, all your lifts, including ramp if it is an enclosed ramp, and use that for fire evacuation. It is now permitted. You don't have to go to any special authority or anything. Design it, pressurize it and use it. But when you use that, you have to know the law. You cannot open a fire lift into a fire staircase. These two have to be separate lobbies, separate openings. Why? Because the smoke has a habit of traveling. That is why the first floor is so risky above the fire floor, that it will travel through the shafts, it will travel through the lift well, it will travel through the ramp well, every place. Now where do you take this patient? After you have evacuated, where do you take this patient? So we call that as a fire assembly area. The law requires that every hospital, whether you are a small hospital or a big hospital, you have a fire assembly area which should be on ground floor, which should be at least 3 meters away from your building and at least 6 meters clear of any fire hazard. Nothing, it's a bit of ground, but you cannot do your car parking there. You cannot have any built structure there. This is where you will bring, and from there other people, other agencies, other fire safety people will take away this. Next thing that you must know, hospitals are public buildings. So who has the responsibility for fire? It is your local fire service. That is why he has been given the power to issue a NOC. He will check your building, he will see them. Ultimately he has to manage. But he cannot be there everywhere. So in each hospital, NBC 2016 Part 4 requires that every hospital will appoint one hospital fire officer. That hospital fire officer is responsible for the fire safety within the hospital for first hour. The local fire service officer has been given the time gap of 1 hour. By that time, once he is notified, he can manage and come and take over and manage the fire. First hour is the hospital's fire officer's responsibility. He need not be he can be a doctor, any officer level person employed in the hospital, but he should have been trained by the local fire people for doing certain things like doing fire drills. You should hold a fire drill every 3 months. All your staff should be trained. Okay? Sorry? All your fire staff, nursing staff, technical staff, security staff, housekeeping staff should be trained in basics of fire safety. Now when you bring the patient down, how do you bring him down? Either in a fire lift, or if you have got all your lifts designated as fire lift, in any lift, to the ground floor. Ground floor where you will bring. So ground floor, the hospital lobby is designated as intermediate fire assembly area. You cannot go directly to outside. So you bring him there, and that is why in the fire assembly area or the intermediate fire assembly area, we have the requirement for exits. Minimum 2 exits. You can be smallest 1 bed hospital, 2 exits are required. One exit is required for evacuation, and the second exit is required for the fire service people to come in. If they don't come in, they wait for the evacuation, already the fire will spread very far. Okay? Next, what is fire safety? This is how we evacuate. What is fire safety? Fire safety is, the best fire safety is sprinklers. You should have automatic sprinklers all over your hospitals. All over. Okay? What does sprinkler do? It has got a automatic heat and smoke detection ability. When it senses fire, it bursts and gives you water. Water suppresses fire. Now where you have to locate it? Can you locate that on a patient bed? Generally the rule will say make a center of the room. It covers 10 meters radius circle and put it there. But in case of IPD, where the patients are there, in case of obstetrics, in case of OT, operating room, we have got this rule modified. There, because the sprinkler works at a pressure of 400 kPa. 400 kPa is a lot of pressure. 400 kPa is almost 3 times the pressure of your car tire, 3 to 4 times, depending upon the model of your car. That much water suddenly coming on a newborn or a handicapped person or a person can kill him. So the act has been modified that you reduce this pressure to 100 kPa. 100 kPa will not kill the pressure. How do you do that? So you put the sprinkler on the wall or side of the bed which is away from the patient or person to be evacuated, but its spray is coming onto that patient, so that if fire is there, he is protected. Okay? So that is one thing that you must know. Second thing, objective of fire safety which we are working on is that certain cases like ICU, it is a lot of trouble, and even in evacuation some people die. So you make it like that. My request to the architect and others, make it like that, that evacuation is not required. Today we have the total technology. So what we have done, your ICU should not be bigger than 16 beds. That is number one. You have more beds, you have more requirement, make 2 ICUs. ICU should not have any sport areas. All the sport areas should be in an adjacent fire compartment. Why? Supposing you have a pantry, you have got an open flame there. In ICU, you have got 16 patients on oxygen. The environment is already oxygen rich. Normally, the air has 21% oxygen. Fire and oxygen enriched environment has 25 to 85% air. If you are using 70% high flow therapy, up to 85% air comes, oxygen comes there. So you put the pantry flame and this oxygen enriched, there will be a blast. Okay? So this should be 2 separate compartments, rated for at least 60 minutes, preferably 120 minutes. Most of the fires will actually be under control, or say 95% of the fire in the hospitals can be controlled in less than 60 minutes. You have sprinkler system. USA has got a compulsory law. They are checked even in their houses. They have sprinkler system. They have more than 2,000 fires every year in hospitals. 2,000. Not even 1% dies. Not even 1% dies even in class A fires. Because they have got this sprinkler system which comes on. You can time the sprinkler system. The sprinkler system timers are available from 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 11 minutes, 13 minutes. I want to put my sprinkler in the kitchen. Kitchen is already hot. So it will start sensing. If I put 5 minutes, I will put 15 minutes there. This can be all worked out. All the architects and engineers are trained to this. You have to tell them, do this, they will do it. I have already built number of hospitals. ILBS I have built where we have put this differential temperature in different zones of the hospital. Where we have actually taken a flame in the pantry, but we have ventilated the pantry by 4 air changes to 6 air changes every hour. So that all the heat is sucked out, not spread into the compartment. So these are some of the things which I thought you should be fully aware, and when you are working with your hospitals, you can interact with your team, architectural team, contractors, and look at these things. As far as double compartments are concerned, in my last, I made actually 120 hospitals, but in my last 35 or 40 hospitals, every floor has got 2 compartments. Supposing you are not able, your hospital is small, you are not able to make a floor plate which has got 2, make 1 plate, but have refuse area which is open to sky on every floor. Please come and see Dr. Lal Path Lab, high risk area. Every floor has been open to sky at the periphery. It is a cantilevered, he will understand, it's a cantilevered area open to sky, covered with a both side opening door. So this is what we can do. We can make the hospital, we can today make the hospital fire safe. You don't need evacuation. Just keep it there for 30 to 60 minutes. Fire will not affect the inpatients. But then you have to design it. You have to use the elements, you have to use the interiors, you have to use the structural elements to achieve that. So what we did, we told you that if a fire happens, how they are evacuated and how they are taken away from that hospital to other, because they meet in the fire assembly area and other people, police and other people will come and help from there. Second thing is horizontal evacuation. In horizontal evacuation, I told you the compartmentation, but another thing is defend in place. That means before we go into a panic and start doing all kind of things, all my staff, everybody should be trained to defend in place. Where the fire has taken place, I should be able to shut off the oxygen. How I can shut off the oxygen? By moving the patients away. And those patients who need oxygen, they will have second point of oxygenation in the second zone. And in addition to that, to save my fire people, I have put a control valve, zonal control valve at the entry of the zone. Once the nurse tells me all patient evacuated, I turn it off. So that everything that is using oxygen, nitrous oxide or compressed air is shut off. Then my fire people are safe. Fire intensity will not increase. Third, we have smoke sluicing system. That means I introduce fresh air and I remove the smoke. Actually, you must understand that it is not the fire or the heat. It is inhalation of smoke which kills people. So we have addressed that. You come and see all the, I have made AIMS Bilaspur, I have made AIMS Bibi Nagar, Deoghar. We have this system. I do not allow any building that I get involved with to go without a fire smoke evacuation system. Okay? Next, you must understand that basement is enclosed. Even if you ventilate, where does it go? So the smallest hospital, I am saying the smallest hospital, unless your building is less than 500 square meters. Please mark, smallest hospital, but your building or the area of the basement is less than 5, that can remain without sprinklers. All other hospital buildings, when they have basement, they have to have sprinklers. That is the law of India and the world. But we don't implement that, we don't do that. Has to be done. A lot of lives can be saved. Second, when you don't have sprinklers, you are a small hospital, you cannot store alcohol. For that, you have to store the alcohol separately in the setback area, in an open area. That area is allowed to you free of FAR. So we are looking at all these things, and I am requesting you that please read this, read the write out, then read the relevant codes and do it. What is a small hospital? Earlier the definition was that if you are a 100-bedded, then only NABH will treat you as a small hospital and do. Today that definition has come down to 50 beds. So all the facilities that are available to medium and large hospitals are available to small hospitals. If you are 50 or more, 1 to 50 beds. Now, including IRDA and all other, I am not going into the details. What I am trying to tell you is that even the regulatory requirements that have to be provided by the small hospitals can be at a reduced level. But who is the deciding authority? The local fire officer. He will evaluate your hospital, he will evaluate what is required in times of fire, and he can give you concessions. The hospitals which are termed as medium and large hospitals have full enforcement of the regulations, and the large and large campus hospitals have additional requirements as compared to medium hospitals. So all this is listed here. So you have medium is up to 500 beds, 51 to 500 beds, and large hospital is more than 500 beds, and large campus hospital is more than 15 acres of land. Compartmentation I have told you, defend in place I have told you, assisted evacuation I have told you, structured fire resistance, you should read it, you should be aware of this, but this is the responsibility of the architect and his structure engineer. Okay? Once you are aware what is required, then they will implement. There is some extra cost, but it's worth spending even if you are able to save one life. Fire signage, very important, because first thing that we switch off when we have a fire in a hospital is the electrical supply. So where electrical supply is required, that is called emergency escape lighting. We are given all the provisions and not too much light is required. 10 lux light is required, only 10 lux is nothing. And you can give that by battery, or you can even give them by radioluminescence or self-glow. So many devices have been approved. When I was doing Apollo Hospital, in the Basa Apollo Hospital in 1995, these were not approved. So we took up a case, we got all these things approved even for the Indian hospitals. I am actually trained by Consult, Canada and USA, and there we use it routinely. But in India, when I did Apollo, it was not being used. But now it is available, it is being used. They will give you the certificates also. So you will have no problem for NABH or any other accreditation. Now this is very important. You must have certain amount of water stored on the hospital site. The fire people will bring their water tank and other things, but that you have to understand how much water they use. When they use one jet, they use 300 liters per minute. And the water they bring is 3,000 to 5,000, or in bigger tanks they bring up to 20,000 liters. How long it is going to last? Okay? So you have to have a system of replenishing this water. The static storage that we create in the hospital is a system of replenishment. If you are having 1 lakh liters of water in the hospital site, fire service department has got small, simple, less costly tankers. They will bring water from another storage site and keep on filling your static storage. And the sophisticated fire jets, they will keep on taking water from here. So you must have this water. Now that also we have specified. If you are a medium hospital, we require 1 lakh liter storage. If you are a large hospital, we require 1.5 or 2 lakh liter storage. We don't want more than 2.5 lakh liter storage. You can be the biggest, largest, everything, because we cannot replenish that water. So we want from 1 lakh liter to 2.5 lakh liters total underground water storage, and this water will be used by the fire hydrant, this water will be used by the firefighters for active firefighting, this water will also be used by the sprinklers, this water will also be used by the automatic dry and wet risers which are installed. Hospitals are required to install minimum 2 firefighting abilities. One is the fire suppression, and second is the early fire detection and fire evacuation. These are 2 independent things. The fire suppression happens automatically when you have sprinklers, plus it is reinforced by the local fire people. Fire evacuation is always requiring manpower. So you must have a system how you are going to help. Now in one particular fire compartment there is fire. What staff they have? They have 8 nurses, 1 sister, maybe 4 ayahs, maybe 3 or 4 housekeeping staff. They have to move these 16 to 24 to 36 patients. They are not sufficient. They get tired. They are scared. They are also human beings. So this has to be reinforced. How you are going to reinforce? This is where I want you to remember, next or adjacent fire compartment will not give the manpower. They have now additional load. They have 16 plus 16 patients. So this must come from a designated hospital order, that if there is a fire in compartment number 1, then compartment number 5, 50% staff will come from there. 6, 50% staff will come. This you must be ready with. They should know. This should be drilled every 3 months. Everybody should know that I am supposed to go there. And they will be reinforced by the fire service people. Next thing, not there in most of the hospitals, not only in India but outside also. I have visited more than 1,000 hospitals all around the world. It is not there. You must have a hospital fire control and command center at the entry to the hospital, which can enter either from outside or from the hospital lobby, and it should be safe for 120 minutes. This is where the coordination point. If you have a fire, everybody will come here. The police will also come here. Fire service people will also come here. Your own staff who has to report will come there. From there they will go. And this command center must have all the slave monitors showing the hospital to its fullest extent, showing where the sprinklers are, where the wet hydrant. Because from there we can know and somebody can go and operate and use it. Okay, you want to see an example? Please come to ILBS. We have fully developed fire command and control center there. It is now going to be there in all Delhi government hospitals, all the new aims that we are making, but it is not there in the older hospitals. If you are an old hospital, I will still request you assign a room, assign some place, have all the cables terminating there, because you can add water, you can do additional electrical power supply from there. All those systems have to come there. Okay? Third thing, that is relevant for large hospitals, but you must know, if you have say 5 building blocks, all 5 building blocks will have their command center. But the central command center, fire security command center will be one. You choose. Normally we choose the main hospital building where the main entry is. Put it there, and all these 5 centers must have their slave coming there. We cannot man 5 all the time. We will man only 1 by the hospital fire officer. But they will be used if there is a fire in that particular block. Okay, so you can switch. The command, the fire command, that means the local fire service officer can sit there and command his people from there. But you must have that. The cable connection should be there. In ILBS it was not there. There was a old block. We brought in a underground cable. We reflected all the panels to the main command center. Has to be done. In larger hospitals, you must have a helipad. Why helipad is required? Because if you are a 20-story hospital, those 20 stories coming down is difficult, but going to the terrace to a open area which is considered a refuge area is easy. But how they will come down after half an hour? With the help of the helicopter. Helicopter will do one more thing, it will take water to that point. So there you have terrace water tanks for firefighting. Actually, terrace water tank firefighting requirement is there in every hospital. Whether you are small, whether you are big. Only exception is when you are ground +1, then we don't need it. The moment you are ground +2 and onwards, we need a terrace firefighting tank. It is small, it is replenished. You have your pumps, you have your pumps working on electricity, diesel and all that. It's a system, but it is required and it can be used by the helicopter also to refill when you run out of the water. This I thought I'll do with you, because this is applicable to all types of hospitals. And this is what the architects have to do, but you have to tell them that please do this. So, first thing is, on the campus, I was doing this Government Medical College and Hospital in Patna. It is a 5,000 bedded hospital. It has got only 2, the whole plot has only 2 entries. One from the Ganga side and one from the Bazaar side. It will have an average population of 1 lakh persons per day coming and going. Okay. Now you tell me, if there is an incident of fire, how these 1 lakh people will go out. So we fought with everybody. We went right up to Nitish Kumar, Chief Minister, and he told me he is an engineer by profession. I said, then you are a useless engineer. Because if you cannot see this 1 lakh persons evacuated by whatever be the size or width. So we got their overhead connections changed. We created 12 openings on each side. Other side is the bazaar. So this is what I am trying to tell you, because it is your safety also. If you get stuck, where you will go? So please, every hospital plot, smaller, 2 openings. Minimum 2. Larger, as many as you can give. Please make the entry at least as big as a fire tender can enter. Preferably 2 fire tenders can come and go simultaneously. That is your safety. Everything else that we are saying, where will you go? And if you have more casualties, how will you handle them? Second is the sprinkler heads. That I have explained to you. It is now compulsory in India. You make a hospital, you make a diagnostic center, you make a patient care space. Technically it is called patient care space, where you are going to handle patients who are not in full command of their natural ability to run, to respond. You will have sprinkler system. Okay? Third, that I have explained to you, sprinkler need not be on the top of the patient, it can be on the sideway. But somebody has to make an assessment that water pressure at 100 kPa and water pressure at 400 kPa, how much time it will take, do you have adequate numbers, do you have adequate pressure, and do you have adequate backup water. And if the backup water is by gravity, do you have adequate booster pumps to create that pressure. That is a technical thing. Let your architects and engineers do that. Fourth, no open flames. Smoking is not allowed in the hospital for this reason. No open flames. If you want, you create a smoker's room outside the building. Let everybody, including your staff who want to smoke, go there. You cannot have an open flame in the hospital because most of the hospital today is oxygen enriched, much more vulnerable than your house or a hotel or a office building. So you cannot have. Similarly, we require that you should serve the meal rather than allowing the patients to warm their meal in the pantry. Open flame in the pantry has been responsible for quite a large number of hospital fires. Okay? So you do that, especially in ICU, surgical suite, maternity suite, and all these areas where the vulnerability is high. Make the compartment which has got dirty utility room, clean utility room, sluice room and pantry as a separate compartment. Give it more ventilation. Similarly, while on the topic of the ventilation, I must tell all of you, general ventilation that is planned in India is at 1 air change per hour. When you have an air conditioned environment, 1.5. In a hospital, please enforce 2 air changes per hour. Because doing that is expensive, but if I have my way, I will want 4 air changes per hour. But at least in the pantry, in the utility rooms, in the toilets, you should have 4 air changes per hour. That will make your hospital safe and bring safety to you also. Next, always do at the drawing board a fire risk assessment. Always, whether you are even a 1-bedded hospital or 1000-bedded hospital, please do the fire risk assessment. Because you must appreciate, I am sure you are already appreciating that doing fire safety is an expensive proposition. Then you identify, this is my category 1, this is my category 2, this is my category 3. Category 1 I will do for 60 minutes, category 2 I will do for 30 minutes, category 3 I will do for 15 minutes, and save costs. To facilitate for you to understand this categorization, there is a code called NEC, National Electrical Code. National Electrical Code 2011 had 3 categories. Now the new National Electrical Code has got 4 categories. They will tell you that what is the critical care or critical care requirement of electricity, water, power, fire safety, fire sensors. Follow that. It's a detailed description in the code. If you don't have to even read the code, you have to ask your architect or engineer whose job is to read and implement that what category you are giving to my ICU, what category you are giving to my OT, what category you are giving to my obstetric room, and then see for that cost, is it worth it or not? Can you reduce it? Should you increase it? Objective is to make these areas where we have fully handicapped persons completely fire safe. And mind you, it is a fraction of the total cost, not very expensive, but should be taken, cost should also be taken care because you are taking care of your staff rooms, offices. I don't know how many of you know, All India Institute, there were 2 fires. One was in the trauma center, in the operation theatre. The operation theatre remained inoperative for almost 1 month in a trauma center. They had 4 OTs there. Reason of fire? The chowkidar posted there used to collect all the waste paper in one of the utility rooms to sell to a kabadi. When the fire took place, this paper flew with the smoke and spread the fire in the whole zone. This has to be seen every day when you are doing a ward round or when you are doing a facility round. And this should never be done. Second was the fire in the main hospital. The fire spread from the fire floor to the upper floor, not because of any engineering fault, just because of the air. It came out and it went up. When it went up, it lit up that floor, and total 7 floors were lit up. You can prevent that by using a facade which is closed. You see our new buildings, learning lesson from there, we don't have openings in the facade. It may be little expensive type of building, but it is worth it. You will save lives. Now these are the areas we have listed with our experience, which should be where the fire evacuation or assisted fire evacuation requirement can be deferred. But for the deferment, what is required is that the surgical suite should be compartment, and a backup area, refuge area, something else adjacent to it should be a backup compartment. So all the electrical rooms, all the HVAC rooms where spark can happen, where open flame can happen, should go into that room, not into the room where the patients are being held, either in the OT or the pre-operative room or the post-operative room. These are very small things, and when you will learn them like I have learned, you will look at a drawing, it will actually glare at you. This is wrong. Okay, so correct that. When you are operating, I don't know whether you understand or not, but I will tell you the data. Indian hospitals and American hospitals, 74% of fires happen in operation theatres. Why? Because we are scrubbing the skin, that is an alcohol based compound. Then we are using a cautery. So the flame is there, media is there, it will catch fire. How do you do that? I can bet you go and see your operation theatres, you will not have a sprinkler there. We did not allow sprinklers in the operation theatre for first 20 years of my career. Now the fire people have agreed, and we put 4 sprinklers on the side in the circulating nurse corridor. Okay. Second, every OT has got a firefighting equipment outside the main door. That is the second thing. Third thing, the fire fighting or fire suppression does not happen automatically in the operating room. Because if it happens, the patient's abdomen is open, fire will not kill him, but my sprinkler will kill him. So the protocol is that the local fire officer or your hospital fire officer must come to that particular OT and ask the anesthetist or the surgeon, can I put it on or can I switch it off? Go to Indraprastha Apollo Hospital, 1995 we did it. We fought with the fire officers. He said, I'll put it. I said, no, you cannot put it. So what we have done is we have put a valve outside the OT. Once the patient is covered, patient is protected, which takes only 1, 2 or 3 minutes, then we switch it on. You can do that everywhere, wherever you feel. These are the areas where I want everybody to do that, because these are completely handicapped persons. They can be young, old, they can react, they cannot. Half the time so they are under anesthesia. And the surgeon and the anesthetist, they have their own stress factors. So third party, hospital fire officer must come, must evaluate, must discuss, and it takes only 1, 2 or 3 minutes. Make a drill, make a system whereby it should take only 1, 2, 3 minutes. Another thing, in case of fire, who goes first? The able-bodied person. Even if I am a patient, but if I can walk, I can run, I will go away, I will go outside the building. Next, assisted patients. But a orthopedic patient, I was an orthopedic patient. I had a nail in my knee, my hip femur was being extracted out of the acetabular. I cannot do anything, I can just lie there and watch. So where I should be, where easily I can go out, I should be on the ground floor. So when you are making your orthopedic ward, orthopedic facility, physical medicine facility, make it on the ground floor, if possible, or on the first floor. For high-rise building, this should be decided. You see, we put this in the part 4 that your high-rise building will be this much. But Andhra government, they said no, 79 meters. This should be directly related to the height of stairs or the ability to fight the fire in high-rise building of your local fire officer. If he can fire, he can fight only up to 15 meters, make it 15. He has a staircase going up to 35 meters, make it 35. Don't make it over that. Where they will go? Everybody gives me an example. The highest hospital building is in Chicago. It is 165 meters tall. But it has got a refuse terrace after every 7 floors. And the number of staircases and lifts and ramps it has, in India I can easily make 2 hospitals in that area. So why we are doing that? Don't make high-rise building, make it easy for everybody. And if you have to give refuge areas, separate lifts, separate ramps for those 7 stories. Otherwise you are going to have a catastrophe. It has already happened in China. Fire tower doesn't concern the small hospitals, but if your building is a medium hospital or large hospital, today the requirement is that you have a fire tower. Fire tower is nothing but a pressurized block where the lift and the staircase and the lobbies are pressurized, so that fire cannot spread into that. It is a positive pressure, and the fire safety people, fire service people can move easily from top to bottom within that building. If you will see the whole presentation, I have got a picture also how it is done and why it should be done. Last, which I want to mention, that we have already done. In large campus hospitals, we create a fire brigade station on the campus only. All my aims, they have got a fire brigade campus with 2 fire tenders. That's an extension of local fire service. So we'll have questions afterwards. I wanted to tell you all this from my experience, plus all the codes and everything is available. Everything that I have told you has come from a written document. Either we are part of that or somebody else is part of that, but it has been deliberated and it has been written down as a code, law or guideline. As a doctor, probably you should stick to healthcare only, but employ the consultants, employ an architect, employ a fire safety person, employ a structure engineer, and they should do their job. And Supreme Court has already said, if they don't do their job, you can take punitive charges. So pay them, let them do their job, and if your hospital catches fire, sue them. Thank you very much.